After a decade of marriage, my husband smiled and said, "I'm leaving you for someone younger." Devastated, I watched as he packed his bags, laughing, "Don't cry, it's just life." As he walked out, a car pulled up. His smile dropped when a lawyer stepped out and handed him a folder. Confused, he opened it, and his jaw dropped as he read the first line. "My name is Sarah, and I've been married to Mark for 10 years. We met during our college years in Boston. He was studying computer science, and I was pursuing a degree in culinary arts. Our paths crossed at a mutual friend's party in Cambridge." Mark had this infectious laugh and a way of making everyone feel at ease. We hit it off immediately, bonding over our shared love for jazz music and late-night diners. After graduation, we decided to stay in the Boston area. Mark landed a job as a software engineer at a tech startup in the Seaport District. The company was young and ambitious, much like Mark. He often spoke about the long hours and the pressure, but he seemed to thrive in that environment. I, on the other hand, took a leap of faith and opened a small bakery in our neighborhood. Baking had always been my passion, and turning it into a business was a dream come true. The bakery quickly became a local favorite, known for its artisanal bread and cozy atmosphere. Our life together was filled with the usual ups and downs. We traveled when we could, explored the city's vibrant food scene, and spent lazy Sundays reading in bed. But as the years went by, I began to notice subtle changes in Mark. He started paying more attention to his appearance, hitting the gym more frequently, and investing in a wardrobe that seemed more suited to a man in his 20s than someone approaching his mid-30s. When I playfully teased him about it, he'd laugh it off, saying he just wanted to stay fit and feel good about himself. I didn't think much of it at the time. Our intimacy dwindled. Initially, I attributed it to his demanding job and the stress that came with it. But deep down, a nagging feeling told me something was off. I chose to ignore it, convincing myself that every couple goes through phases. One evening, as I was preparing dinner, Mark walked into the kitchen with an unusual expression. He seemed almost excited. He sat down, looked me straight in the eyes, and said, "Sarah, I need to tell you something." I paused, setting down the knife I was using to chop vegetables. "What is it?" I asked, my heart beginning to race. He took a deep breath and, with a smile, said, "I'm leaving you for someone younger." I felt the room spin. "What?" I managed to whisper, hoping I'd misheard him. "I'm leaving you," he repeated, this time with more conviction. "I've met someone else. She's younger, and we have a connection I can't ignore." Tears welled up in my eyes. "After 10 years, this is how you tell me?" I choked out. He shrugged, standing up. "Don't cry, Sarah. It's just life." I watched in disbelief as he walked to our bedroom and began packing his belongings. He hummed a tune, seemingly unbothered by the devastation he was leaving in his wake. As he zipped up his suitcase and headed for the door, a sleek black car pulled up in front of our house. I assumed it was his ride, perhaps his new girlfriend coming to pick him up. But then, a man in a sharp suit stepped out, holding a folder. He approached Mark, handing him the folder without a word. Mark's confident demeanor faltered. "What's this?" he asked, flipping open the folder. As he read the first line, his face turned pale. His hands trembled, and he looked at me with a mix of anger and disbelief. You hired a lawyer?" he stammered. I crossed my arms, trying to steady my voice. "I had my suspicions, Mark. I needed to protect myself." Inside the folder were divorce papers, along with evidence of his infidelity. Photos, messages, even hotel receipts. I'd hired a private investigator months ago when my gut told me something was wrong. Mark's jaw clenched. "You set me up," he accused. I shook my head. "No, Mark. You did this to yourself." "Hi," she said softly. "Are you Sarah?" I nodded, curious. "I'm Lisa," she introduced herself. I think we need to talk." We sat down at one of the tables, and she began to speak. I was the one Mark left you for, she admitted, tears in her eyes. But he left me too. For someone even younger. I was taken aback. I'm sorry, I said, genuinely feeling for her. She wiped her eyes. I didn't know he was married when we started dating. He told me you two were separated. I sighed. That's Mark for you. Lisa looked down, ashamed. I should have verified. I should have known better. We talked for hours, sharing our experiences and realizing how manipulative Mark had been. By the end of our conversation, we decided to support each other, helping one another heal from the wounds he had inflicted. Months passed, and the divorce was finalized. I kept the house and the bakery, while Mark moved to another city. I heard through the grapevine that his relationships continued to be short-lived, always seeking the next best thing. As for me, I found solace in my work and the community I'd built around the bakery. I started attending therapy, working through the pain and betrayal. And slowly, I began to open my heart again. One evening, as I was closing up shop, a man walked in. He was tall, with kind eyes and a warm smile. Hi, he greeted. I was walking by and couldn't resist the smell of fresh bread. I chuckled. Well, you've come to the right place. We talked for a while, and he introduced himself as Daniel, a professor at a nearby university. He'd recently moved to Cambridge and was exploring the neighborhood. Over the next few weeks, Daniel became a regular at the bakery. We'd chat every time he came in, and eventually, he asked me out for coffee. I hesitated at first, the scars from my past still fresh. But something about him felt different. Our coffee dates turned into dinners, and dinners turned into long walks along the Charles River. He was patient, understanding, and never rushed me. For the first time in a long while, I felt valued and respected. One evening, as we sat on a bench overlooking the Charles River, Daniel took my hand. The city lights reflected on the water, and a breeze rustled the trees. I felt calm. Safe. Sarah, he said softly, I don't want to rush anything, but I just want you to know I'm here. I care about you. I smiled. For a moment, I felt like everything might actually be okay. Like maybe this chapter of my life could be different. But life isn't that simple. A few days later, I got a call from an unknown number while I was prepping dough at the bakery. I usually don't answer unknown calls, but something told me to pick up. Hello? Silence. Then a voice. You think he's different. He's not. I froze. Who is this? Click. The line went dead. I stood there holding the phone, dough still clinging to my fingers, heart pounding in my chest. At first, I tried to shake it off. Maybe a prank call. Maybe someone trying to mess with me. I didn't tell Daniel. I didn't want to seem paranoid. I tapped the message. Did you tell her yet? My heart dropped. When he came back, I tried to act normal. He smiled, completely unaware. After he left that night, I sat on my bed staring at the ceiling for hours. Every thought in my head screaming different things. I felt sick. The next day, I asked him about it. Daniel, who's S? He paused. Why? I shrugged. Just curious. He shifted uncomfortably. It's complicated. That's when I knew. My voice cracked. Are you seeing someone else? No. It's not like that. Then what is it? He sighed. She's my ex. She's been reaching out. Trying to talk. I haven't responded. Then why did she say, did you tell her yet? He froze. His eyes darted away. I stood there, feeling every inch of my skin burn. What haven't you told me? He rubbed his face. I didn't think it mattered. We broke up, yes. But we were engaged. It ended badly, and she didn't handle it well. I felt dizzy. You were engaged? I didn't lie to you, Sarah. I just didn't know how to bring it up. You didn't know how to bring up a fiancé? I was trying to protect what we had. No, I said, my voice shaking, you were protecting yourself. Just like Mark. I told him to leave. I needed space. That night, another call came. Same voice. Told you. Now I didn't just feel hurt, I felt watched. Like this person wasn't just calling. They knew everything. About Mark. About Daniel. About the bakery. About me. I called the police. Filed a report. But there wasn't much they could do. No threats, no way to trace the burner numbers. I started sleeping with the lights on. Kept a bat by the door. I tried focusing on the bakery, but even that didn't feel safe anymore. One morning I came in to find a note slipped under the door. You're not as smart as you think. I showed it to the cops. They said they'd increase patrol in the area. But I didn't feel any safer. I hadn't heard from Daniel in a week. He respected my space, but deep down I didn't know if I wanted to hear from him again. Then, just as I was about to close the bakery one night, someone knocked on the back door. Not the front. The back, where deliveries come in. Where no customer ever goes. I froze. Another knock. I grabbed my phone and crept toward the door. Another knock, harder this time. And then a voice. Sarah. It's me. Daniel. I opened the door slowly, keeping my phone ready to dial. He looked like hell. Tired. Eyes red. I need to talk, he said. Please. I stepped aside and let him in, locking the door behind him. I messed up, he said. I didn't tell you everything. And now I think she's coming after you. I'm sorry. I didn't know she'd actually do it. I sat down, feeling like the walls were closing in. This wasn't just heartbreak anymore. This was danger. Real danger. Daniel took out his phone. Showed me a string of messages. She'll never be safe with you. You lied to her. Just like you lied to me. I warned you. That's where we are now. I don't know what's coming next. But I know one thing, I've been played before. Lied to. Betrayed. But this is something else. And I'm not going down without a fight. The next morning, I couldn't open the bakery. I just stood outside, staring at the shattered front window. Glass everywhere. A brick lay in the middle of the floor, surrounded by breadcrumbs and chaos. Tied around it was a piece of paper. I warned you. Stay away from him. Police came again. More reports. They asked the same questions. Anyone you think might want to hurt you? Yes. One person. A woman I've never met. A name I only learned days ago, Samantha. The officer nodded like he heard stories like this all the time. But I could tell he didn't take it seriously. No security footage. No witnesses. Just another domestic mess, as he called it. I started sleeping in the bakery. I felt safer there, even with the busted window. I had an old futon in the back office. I didn't tell anyone where I was staying, not even Daniel. I needed space from him. I didn't know what was true anymore. But more than anything, I needed to feel like I had control again. Then something else happened. I was going through the bakery's business email inbox, deleting spam, when I saw a message from an unfamiliar name, Michael G. Subject line, we need to talk about Mark. My heart stuttered. I opened the email. Sarah, you don't know me, but I knew Mark long before you did. I found your bakery website while looking for him. I think you need to know what he really is. If you're willing to meet, I'll explain everything. Michael, I read it over and over again. Who was this guy? Some scammer? Another person Mark lied to? Against my better judgment, I replied. Cautiously. What is this about? I'm not interested in games. He replied instantly. It's not a game. Mark and I were in a relationship. For 5 years. Until last year. I dropped my phone. No. No, that couldn't be. Mark? The man who left me for a younger woman? I picked up the phone again, hands shaking. I asked questions. Specific ones. I wanted details no one could fake. Michael answered every one of them. He described our house. Our dog, now gone. The scar on Mark's arm from a skiing accident in Vermont. Things only someone close would know. He sent screenshots. Messages. Photos. One of them showed Mark and Michael on a beach in Puerto Rico. From 2 years ago. Mark told me he was at a tech retreat in California that week. I felt like the ground under me cracked open. I wasn't angry at the idea that Mark had been with a man. That wasn't the betrayal. The betrayal was how deeply he'd lied. How double his life had been. How even now, after everything, I was still just scratching the surface of who he really was. But that wasn't the twist. The twist came when Michael said this: he didn't just leave me. He vanished. Took money from my account, disappeared overnight. I think he's done this before, to other people. He's dangerous, Sarah. I think he's hiding something bigger. I sat there, stunned. I'd thought the nightmare was over when Mark left. But he wasn't done. He'd just disappeared from my life. But he'd been wrecking others too. And then it hit me. Samantha. What if this wasn't about Daniel at all? What if the person calling me, watching me, breaking my windows, what if it wasn't just about jealousy or obsession? What if someone thought I was in on Mark's game? What if this was revenge? That night, I finally called Daniel. I told him everything. About the email, about Michael, about the possibility that this went deeper than we thought. His voice was tight. You need to come stay with me, Sarah. Please. Just until we figure this out. But I said no. I can't trust anyone right now, I told him. I hung up and started packing my things at the bakery. I wasn't going home, but I wasn't staying there either. Then, as I zipped up my duffel bag, I heard it. The creak of the back door. It was locked. But the knob turned, slowly. I froze. My phone was on the desk. Too far to grab without making noise. The knob kept turning. Back and forth. Like whoever was on the other side was testing me. Letting me know they were there. Then a knock. Slow. Steady. Like a metronome of dread. I grabbed the closest thing I could, a metal rolling pin. Another knock. And a voice. Not Samantha's. Not Daniel's. Not anyone I'd heard before. But calm. Male. Deep. But I do know one thing, something bigger is going on. And someone thinks I'm part of it. But I'm not going to run. I'm going to find out the truth, even if it kills me. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I closed the bakery with a handwritten sign, emergency. We'll reopen soon. I didn't know when I'd be back. I called Michael. I needed to meet him in person. I needed to see if this man, the one who claimed to love Mark for 5 years, was real, and not just another part of this twisted story. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop on Newberry Street. It was crowded, loud. I liked that. Witnesses. When I saw Michael, I knew instantly. His eyes told me he wasn't lying. There was pain in them. Old pain. Familiar. He brought a binder. No joke. A whole damn binder of emails, photos, transaction records. He'd built a timeline. He'd been trying to track Mark for almost a year. He told me Mark had cleaned out their joint savings. Over $40,000. Said he was investing it. Then he disappeared. Ghosted him. Then came the bombshell. Sarah, Michael said, Mark didn't just vanish. He changed his name. He's now going by Matt Grant. He's still in Boston. My heart skipped. What? He's working at a new company. Different ID. I had a friend in IT look into it. He slid a photo across the table. Mark. Wearing glasses. A beard now. Standing in front of a sleek office building in Back Bay. You're telling me he's still here? Michael nodded. And I think Samantha, the one harassing you, she's not Daniel's ex. She's Mark's. I think she's been after him this whole time. But she thinks you're part of it. That you helped him disappear. Everything snapped into place. The stalking. The threats. The break-in. Samantha thought I was his accomplice. I left the coffee shop shaking. I needed answers. Not from Michael. Not from Daniel. From Mark. That night, I went to that building. I waited. And then, around 6:45 p.m., he walked out. Same walk. Same smug grin. Like nothing had ever happened. Like he hadn't shattered lives. I stepped in front of him. He froze. Sarah? His face turned white. You're still here, I said. My voice didn't shake. You lied to everyone. Me. Michael. God knows who else. He looked around. Let's not do this here. Oh, we're doing this right here. I pulled out my phone and hit record. You're going to tell me everything. Now. And that's when she stepped out of the shadows. Tiny. Blonde. Eyes like daggers. You lying bastard, she hissed. She launched herself at him. Slapped him so hard his glasses flew off. Mark stumbled back, totally exposed now. A few people gasped. One woman clapped. Samantha wasn't done. She screamed at him, about how he promised her a future, about how he took her savings too, about how he made her think Sarah was in on it. Daniel showed up mid-meltdown. He ran to me, tried to pull me aside, but I didn't move. I wanted Mark to feel this. The police came. Someone had already called. Samantha didn't resist. She was crying now. Shaking. A mess of fury and grief. Mark got cuffed. Michael showed up too. Looked at Mark like he didn't even recognize him. None of us did. The fallout was fast. Turns out, Mark had a history. Multiple aliases. Small cons emotional manipulation. Nothing big enough to make the news. Just big enough to ruin lives one by one. The police let me go after questioning. I had nothing to do with any of it. Daniel tried to talk to me after. Tried to explain why he didn't tell me about Samantha earlier. Said he didn't know how bad it had gotten. That she'd seemed unstable but harmless. I believed him. But I was tired. I didn't have the strength to fight for another maybe. I told him I needed time. Weeks passed. The bakery reopened. People came in just to ask what happened. I kept it vague. Said an ex caused some trouble. They nodded, like they understood. Maybe some of them did. Michael stopped by once. Left a coffee and a note, you didn't deserve this. None of us did. But you were brave. Thank you. Daniel still texts sometimes. I don't always reply. I don't know what we are now. Friends? Strangers? Samantha is in therapy, I heard. She apologized to me. In writing. Said she was broken, and she projected her pain onto me. I wrote her back. I told her I understood. Because I do. We were all victims. But I'm not one anymore. Mark's trial is coming up. I don't plan to go. I don't want to see his face again. Not because I'm scared. Because he doesn't matter anymore. He used to define my story. But not now. Now it's my story. And if I've learned anything at all, it's this: trust your gut. Speak your truth. And never, ever apologize for surviving.